Good afternoon and welcome to this session. My name is Immaculate and I hope you can all hear me. Anyone, can you hear me? Yes. So welcome to this session. We are going to be discussing a few things here and there, and I'm happy to see all of you. So I'll begin by sharing my screen. I hope you can see it. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay, thank you. So let's move together. We begin by stating the learning outcomes. So by the end of this session, I expect you to be able to 1. Classify nutrients, and 2. State features and functions of proteins. So we go to our learning outcome 1. We begin by defining some few terms. 1. The term nutrients. These are chemical substances in foods that provide nourishment to the body. Examples of nutrients include proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And nutrients are classified into 2. We have macronutrients, just from the word macro, which means big. These are nutrients that are required in large amounts by the body. 2. We have micronutrients. These are nutrients required in small amounts by the body. So we continue. Macronutrients examples include proteins, carbohydrates, fat, and water. Then micronutrients examples are vitamins, which includes the fat and water soluble vitamins, and examples are like vitamin A, B, C, K, and D, amongst others. And minerals also fall under micronutrients, and examples are iron, calcium, zinc, amongst others. We go to our second learning outcome, where we are supposed to know the features and functions of proteins. So proteins are macronutrients, and they are made up of amino acids, and we get proteins from plant and animal sources. Proteins are divided into 2. We have first class proteins, which is animal proteins, and second class proteins, which is plant proteins. Examples of plant proteins include beans, green grams, and cowpeas, among others. Then animal proteins are just from the word animal. They are got from animals, and they include eggs, meat, and milk. So we go to the functions of proteins. 1. Proteins are involved in growth and maintenance of body tissues. That is why, for example, children require a lot of proteins so that they can grow. And even when people get injuries, they require a lot of proteins so that their tissues can be rejuvenated or even build back. Then another function is that they cause biochemical reactions. And here we are talking about enzymes, which act as catalysts. And enzymes are very important, especially in our bodies, in digestion process. And we know examples of enzymes, for example, the gastric juices in the stomach, which help in digestion of food. Then the third function is that proteins act as messengers. And here we are talking about hormones. They aid in cell-to-cell communication, cell-to-tissue, or even tissue-to-tissue communication. An example of an hormone is the thyroid hormone, and it regulates many activities in the body, for example, metabolism. Then proteins are also important in providing structure. Here we are talking about keratin and collagen. Keratin is the protein that is responsible for our hair. That is why we need proteins for growth of our hair. Then collagen is a protein that binds muscles together, and it is required. We require protein so that we can build enough collagen so that we can have our muscles intact. Then proteins also boost immune health, and here we talk about what we call immunoglobulins, or otherwise abbreviated as IgA. These are important in building the white blood cells, and white blood cells are the cells that are responsible for ensuring that we build strong immunity in our bodies. Then we go to another one, features of proteins. We say that proteins, number one, they are made up of amino acids, and amino acids determine the structure and characteristics of a given protein. That is, every protein is unique because of its amino acid composition. Another feature is that proteins can be denatured by it. We have said that enzymes are part of proteins, and enzymes are usually destroyed by it. So we say that the functions of proteins are usually denatured by it, that is, they are destroyed. They can no longer function under some given temperatures. And even when someone is cooking, the proteins are usually, their structure changes because of exposure to it. Then proteins are also sensitive to changes in pH. Here I still go back to my example where I had given enzymes, whereby enzymes only act under given pH. If you change the pH, then the functionality of enzymes is usually affected. Another function is that proteins can be broken down to provide energy during dire starvation. When the body does not have enough carbohydrates, it breaks down proteins, and this process requires a lot of energy. That is why proteins are not an ideal source of energy, and 1 gram of protein usually gives around 4 kilocalories. Then we say that proteins are strong and therefore ideal for structural elements in organisms. We have just said in the functions that proteins they form collagen, which binds muscles together, and that feature alone of them being strong makes them ideal for forming structural elements in organisms. Now, is there anyone with any question before I continue? Any question? Anyone? Okay, I assume silence to mean that you have understood and that we are good to go. Are we together? Go to the first slide. You came in late. Okay. The first slide, we are just talking about the learning outcomes of the lesson. And then the second slide, in case you were not with us, we defined a few terms. We defined the term nutrients. We said that these are chemical substances in foods that provide nourishment to the body. Then we said they are divided into 2 macronutrients, those that are required in large amounts, and micronutrients that are required in small amounts. Are you good now, Betty? Thank you for your concern. Anyone else with a question? So just to sum it up, we have said that nutrients are classified into 2. Macro, that is nutrients required in large amounts in the body. Micronutrients, these are nutrients that are required in small amounts by the body. Then we have also talked about proteins. We have talked about their functions and also their structure and also their characteristics. So make sure that you go and research more on other things such as the structure of proteins. So that is going to be an assignment. Do some further research on structure of the proteins and draw each of the amino acids. There are 20 in number. Just draw for me the essential amino acids. Then collect that via your class rep next week and take it seriously because it is going to form part of your end of term assessment. It will determine your final grade. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for coming in and have a lovely day. So the class is hereby dismissed. Let's meet next time.